Good morning again. Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another subject to you that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and that is freedom. I've talked about freedom a lot in my videos, but this one's going to have special emphasis, like many of my videos have special emphasis on connecting ideas. The special emphasis in this case is why something is usable and unusable in equal measure. With respect to freedom, liberty, the ability to use anything, including your space, including your God-given right to pursue happiness, including literally everything that you can possibly use. I aim to highlight that usability and abusability, that is the potential to abuse something, are two sides of the exact same coin, and you cannot limit one without limiting the other. I want to mention a couple of things, actually. When an item is limited, such as, for example, gun control or access to people of any kind of denomination or grouping, you end up with a diminished usability, like I said, on both sides, actually. So there's an example to be used. I'm going to draw an example. There are people who are advocating at the moment that children should be segregated. This is my example. They should be compartmentalized into safe zones where they have fewer risks of being abused, which, may seem safer and more sensible on the surface, but here's your problem. When you assume that people are going to abuse things, you are erring on the side of cowardice, you're erring on the side of pessimism, you're erring on the side of limiting usability. And you could just as easily make a choice of confidence, a vote of confidence, an expectation of success, and not only set people up for success, but enable the things that are necessary for survival. And I don't think I'm being dramatic here. When you compartmentalize a whole class of people out of fear, there are pretty severe effects from that. And when those people in question are the literal youth who grow into adults eventually, we hope, then you have an entire generation of people who are damaged in some way. I want to say, I don't want to, be rude to people, but we're seeing a generation of people who are victims of being segregated. They have severe limitations, or have grown up with severe limitations in terms of access to the same resources, online or not, in terms of just being around people and learning and being social with people. And it's a big subject, and I don't want to dive too deep into it, but there are places in the world still and historically where adults and children have very successfully and healthfully commingled in, respectful ways. That is to say, in parts of the world, it is still important that children be integrated as any group of people, majority, minority. When you ostracize someone for fear or whatever, it damages them. It damages your relationship with them. And it's just something to think about. Something to think about, that if your concern, and I'm going to get specific and maybe a little graphic here, if your concern is that people will have sex with children, so they should be compartmentalized away from people in general, and your idea about sex is that it involves, getting choked or having your hair pulled and, being betrayed and tied up, or whatever, however you get your jollies, if that's your thing, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense if that's what you think sex is. If you think sex and love are about hurting people, stealing stuff from them, damaging them because it's all about you, and then leaving quick, everything makes sense all of a sudden. But I tell you what, history would disagree with you. And whatever you think you know about history, people don't usually get married in their 20s, historically speaking. That's unprecedented. Just something to think about. Right now, the common consensus about from women that I've actually heard, I've heard videos surveying women, is that the ideal age of pregnancy for women is either 26 or 27. That's the big debate between those two numbers, because it's smack dab in the middle between the age of 18, the legal age of supposedly having sex, and menopause, the average age of menopause. Right in the middle there, you have 26 and 27. 26 and a half, actually. So that's very logical. It's very mathematical. I'm wondering if maybe logic and math aren't being your friends in this case. I think that that's a whole different video. In fact, I've made that video already about the trade-offs of becoming parents at a young age versus older age. It's a matter of trading sensitivity and idealism for experience and perhaps more control of everything. Not always good, not always bad, depending on things. But anyway, I'm sprawling around on this video, admittedly, and my point is that freedom isn't optional. It's not optional. Without it, everything falls apart. And you can try to limit it for whatever reasons. You can react to things, overreact to things. But without it, there's no survival. And I hope that people at least think about it. Just maybe think about the value of having options. That is, not having somebody tell you what to do all the time, because that's the alternative. You could just as easily pick up a garden tool or a kitchen utensil, and I've said this in other videos, as you could abuse a child and assault anybody. You tell me people don't want to assault each other? Sometimes they do. Why don't they? It's the same question. It really is the same question. Why don't people abuse each other more often? And it's not just because there's a law against it. It's because they're human beings, and it would be ridiculous to do that all the time. For most of us, it would be ridiculous. Consider erring on the side of optimism. Consider acknowledging that most people aren't terrible, first of all. They're going to do the right thing. If you have questions or comments, please reach out to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.